Well, good morning, everyone. This is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do our April the 18th just for today in a meditation. I hope you're doing well. I sound like a little frog today, so I just have to tolerate me. We don't know exactly what's going on, but it doesn't stop me from talking and it doesn't hurt. It's just annoying to listen to. So, anyway, let me read this for you if you can tolerate it, okay? April 18th, I understand. We humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Now, that comes from step 7. Once we are entirely ready to have our character defects removed, many of us are entirely ready. Ironically, that's when the trouble really starts. The more we struggle to rid ourselves of a particular defect, the stronger that shortcoming seems to become. It is truly humbling to realize that not only are we powerless over our addiction, but even our own defects of character. Finally, it clicks. The 7th step doesn't suggest we rid ourselves of our shortcomings, but that we ask our higher power to rid us of them. The focus of our daily prayers begins to shift. Admitting our inability to perfect ourselves, we plead with our higher power to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And we wait. For many days, our program may stay on step 7. We may experience no sudden, total relief from defects, but we often do experience a subtle shift in our perceptions of ourselves and others. Through the eyes of the 7th step, we begin to see those around us in a less critical way. We know that just like us, many of them are struggling with shortcomings they would dearly love to be rid of. We know that, just like us, they are powerless over their own defects. We wonder if they, too, humbly pray to have their defects removed. We begin evaluating others as we have learned to evaluate ourselves with an empathy born of humility. As we watch others and as we keep watch on ourselves, we can finally say, I understand. Just for today, God, help me see through the eyes of step 7. Help me understand. Now let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please. And what? Thank you. Amazing. I like this. I like this topic. I like how it's written. There's a couple of things that came to my mind, though, that I really am very grateful to God that they came to my mind because I don't remember ever thinking these thoughts before. And so let me kind of dive into that a little bit with you, okay? So we're talking about, I understand. We're talking about empathy, we're talking about understanding, we're talking about knowing that we're probably judgmental and are looking at other people and their defects of character and coming away from that with a different perspective as a direct result of step 7. Now, step 6 is about being entirely ready, right? Step 6 is talking about a state of being. We became entirely ready, or we were entirely ready to have these defects of character removed from us. That's just a statement about a state of being where I'm at. Either I'm entirely ready, or I'm partially ready, or I'm not ready at all. right? So when we talk about step 7 now, this is action on step 6. Step 6 is I acknowledge that I'm sick and tired of this attitude. I'm sick and tired of this Miss Mighty Stream attitude. I am tired of it. It is serving absolutely no purpose other than to make me feel like no one wants to be bothered with me because of it. I'm tired of it. It causes alienation, right? No one wants to be bothered with an alien, right? It causes alienation. So, and probably isolation, if we're being truthful, some of our character defects can absolutely drive us into a corner all by ourselves. Sometimes we put ourselves in that corner because we don't trust ourselves anymore to function in a kind, loving manner, an acceptable moral manner. And sometimes we get put in that corner by people. Mentally, they alienate us. And we feel that alienation because they're no longer wanting to be bothered with Mighty Stream. They don't want to be bothered with me. They don't invite me. They're not interested in anything to do with me because now they've alienated me because of my what? My shortcomings that cause me to fall short, right? My behavior, in other words. That's what this is talking about. Step 7, we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. See, step 6 is an acknowledgement. I'm tired of this. And I am ready. I'm entirely ready, as a matter of fact, to be done with this behavior. Step 7 is the action. Now, it's the action. If we are actively in our recovery, participating in our recovery, in other words, this is a natural step that follows step 6. Because once you become entirely ready, you're like, oh, you know what? One of the reasons I'm entirely ready is because I've tried to be done with this. I've tried not to do it. I've tried not to act out on this. I've tried not to think it. And it keeps coming back like it's almost ingrained in me. And I'm not able to get rid of it. I am entirely ready to have it removed. And now I'm ready to also humbly ask that the shortcomings that come as a result of these character defects. Some people get confused about what shortcomings and character defects are. And they say, oh, well, they're one and the same. Well, I get that. But the point is that now, in step 7, I'm asking for some help. I'm asking my higher power, please remove these from me. Please remove the shortcomings from me. Right? I always tell people I work with, right? People I sponsor, or people that might know to ask, that the character defect births, listen to me, the character defect births the shortcoming. They are different. Okay. Let Mighty Stream repeat that. The character defects mentioned in step 6 birth the shortcomings that are mentioned in step 7. Let's look at this really quick, okay? Let's look at it so that we understand. I'm able to identify my character defects. All right. I know what they are. Fear is a big one. And out of fear, because that is one of my character defects, when I'm talking about character, I'm talking about the mode of operation that I have, right? My personality, the way that I conduct myself, everything that makes me up. I'm talking about my character. So when I'm talking about my character defects, I'm talking about a dent, a hole, a misprint, a misprint of something that was supposed to be good, but it kind of went sideways. So I'm talking about my character defects, and one of them is fear. The majority of, I would probably say 75 to 80% of everything that I do that is some, negative in a sense, right? This is not negative, right? This podcast is not based out of fear, right? But I'm just talking about those mishaps, those shortcomings. The majority of those are rooted out of fear. I mean, there's a lot of things that I fear. I mean, I have some phobias that can paralyze me. So I have paralyzing fear where I don't act on it at all. I just stand still, don't move. However, out of my fear, I might tell a lie. I might cheat. I might throw shade, right? I might be pessimistic. I could be narcissistic. People, you throw that word around like it's just a devil word, right? But in reality, a lot of us go into narcissism without even thinking about it. There's a lot of things based out of fear that we do because we need to have control. We need to control what comes into our presence so that we're less likely to be fearful, right? We don't have to have fear of the unknown if I control every part of my day and everyone that enters in it. Those people are, you do this. When I ask you to jump, you need to say how high. I don't want any questions. This is not anything that we're talking about. You're going to do as I ask you to do, or you're not going to be able to engage me. Those people are operating out of fear. And what the shortcoming is control, manipulation, cheating, lying, right? But the character defect is fear, and it causes them to fall short in their behavior. That's why we call it a shortcoming. All right. And so now we're humbly asking God to remove our shortcomings because, mighty stream can't do it. I've tried. I've tried not to twist my neck and check people when they talk to me crazy. I've tried. Believe me, I have tried not to snap into my shenane. I have I have seriously tried. I've bitten tongues, literally have bitten tongues, holding back my peace. And then they say just one more thing. I could be shaking my head at them, my eyes could go cold, and they got every signal in the world that this is a good time to shut up, right? And they say just one more thing, and I'm telling you, it's like the floodgates just release. And before I know it, I have thrown my right pointer finger up and said, hold on just 1 second. Let me make something clear. Under no uncertain terms, are you about to do? And I tell them exactly what I think they need to know. Already, Shanae just broke loose. And I'm later when I get done. And they're melted down on the ground like the wicked witch of the of the west, right? Like I threw hot water on them. They melted, right? Once they melted down on the ground, I feel bad. I'm like, oh, what did I do? Oh, so I try to remold them, pick them back up. Well, you know what I was trying to say was, and I go home and I lick my wounded heart, right? Because I feel bad that I acted out once again. They don't feel bad about it. I mean, they're hurt by it, but they don't feel bad like I do. I beat myself up continually when my shortcomings have come into play. because they're nothing nice. And if I can say this about me, I'm most certain that you can say this about you if you're being honest today. Okay. So now let's move into the other thing that struck or caught my attention. The benefit of working step 7 is now that I begin to see other individuals in a different light. By humbly asking God to remove my shortcomings, I am admitting that I am not able to do it. And now, from that lens, I can look at other people's behavior and I already know that they're going to be mad at themselves later because it happens to me. I understand. So, step 7 is a relationship builder because now instead of icing people, say, I'm never going to have nothing else to do with him or her again. I cannot believe I cannot believe they showed out like that on me, right? Or like that. But now with this new lens of I understand that is a gift of step 7, I'm able to already be in a forgiveness mode, even when they're acting out. My mind is saying, ooh, we better you than me. I am so glad it's you clowning instead of me. I am so glad you did that instead of me. You know what? Let me tell you something. When you really want to talk about it, get with me. I'm already letting them know. I don't hate you because of this behavior. I'm not going to alienate you because of this behavior. I'm already letting them know that I've made space and room for them to return back and put me on their 8th step and do their 9th step with me because I understand. Yes, that is something that maybe I've realized it before, but today it just stands out that it gives me the gift of understanding others and the ability to forgive them even before they probably know that they need it. What a gift today. You know, my name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.